Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, travelers? It is Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we are back with you for another week of the Success Journey Show. What's going on, Marlon? How are you today, bro?
Yo, I'm actually enjoying life. Because when you see how easy life is to be taken, you have to just always appreciate that you're here. And sometimes we get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that we forget to just take the time and appreciate being able to say, I am present and alive on this earth right now to do whatever you're doing in whatever capacity. So that's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying life, enjoying family, enjoying friends, enjoying different endeavors that we're diving into, and just enjoying myself, man.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Love it. Look, man, I'm tired, and I can fall out to sleep any moment right now. Yeah. So I'm just, for all those that don't know, I don't think I even mentioned this last time we were recording, but I'm doing this cleanse. I may have said it in the last episode, but I'm doing this cleanse with my wife. After she's gone through all this treatment stuff, like, all right, let's clean her body out. So it's a 10-day cleanse, and I got it started day one. I said, I'm doing this for like 20 days, 30 days, man. I'm gonna really clean myself out. Yeah. Man, we are on day 9 today, and everything in me is like, I am done. I am done. It's a 10-day cleanse, and I'm telling my wife, so, you know what? I came in with you, and I'm gonna go out with you.
We ride together, we die together.
And then on top of it, today I was like, I'm gonna go work out. During lunch, jump out there, go work out real quick for like 45 minutes, and man, started this new workout plan. And your mindset is back where you know what you could do, but your body is like, dude, I can't be doing all these leg lifts and squats and stuff. What are you doing to me? So I was feeling lightheaded in there. Got out,
especially on legs.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, and I've had a headache ever since. So I've been I caught a little nap while the kids were doing the MMA today, but man, they scared me when they walked back in the car. I was like, oh shoot, I was asleep this whole time. But anyway, yeah, man. But listen, it feels good. My body, that was it. My body feels great, but I'm tired. But yeah, no, it's definitely needed. Anyone that's never done a cleanse before, definitely recommend cleaning out at some point in your life. Some people do it every year. Some people do it every other year. Some people do twice a year. Giving your body a chance to rest, to reset. Mentally challenging, spiritually, physically, it's challenging. But after tomorrow, I told my wife I'm staying up until midnight tomorrow because it's midnight tomorrow.
I'm done. Whatever I want to do, I'm doing at 12:01.
12:01. We did it. Oh man, but she actually countered that and was like, "Yo, we're just gonna have dinner tomorrow to break this thing." I was like, you know what? I ain't gonna. I'm not arguing with you.
Yes, dear.
But here's the thing, right? I've been making the banging dinners for the boys, man. It's just been like, I'm like, man, where is the inspiration when I was eating? I'm just making up stuff. I'm looking at the refrigerator, like, I could put this together, that together, this together, boom. And they're sitting back, and I'm just sitting there watching, like, how is it? Oh man, this is amazing. This is some great stuff. And I'm just like, oh man, I can't even have none of it right now, And then watch when I get off the cleanse, man, I ain't gonna feel like cooking like to that level at the time, man. So, but overall, man, all jokes aside, I'm doing good, man, and just excited about things that are moving forward in life and just opportunities. And you guys are going to get a chance to listen to this episode today, and the guest that we bring on, man, just shares his story and shares his story from going into the military, being a military vet, making that transition, and really trying to make an impact and finding himself in that transition. So yeah, we hope you guys really enjoy this one. But before we go to it, I'm gonna have Marlon introduce him. I just want to remind you to jump onto our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Man, I also want to pause and recognize the people that listen to us on 21 The Net. that, man, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us and listening to these episodes and supporting us. But you guys going on to the website, check us out, look at previous podcasts, as well as, our t-shirts that are on there. People, we ran into people a couple of weeks ago that saw our t-shirts, like stopped us, like, hey, what are you guys all about? And that's what we want people to say to you. What are you all about when they read the dream, the drive, the discipline and diligence? We want them to say, what are you about? And then you can have that conversation and say, I'm on my journey. We got the journey wear, the stuff is coming out soon. So guys, we just really thank you for just hanging with us, traveling with us. We're on a journey. We're starting to share our journey a little bit more with everybody. We hope that you are enjoying it. But listen, we're going to jump right into our guest today without me taking any more time. And I'm going to turn it over to Marlon Marlon, we got to mention that one thing too, the podcast. When the dude was trying to find our podcast.
Yes. So I know you guys heard it before, but we love telling this. We pride ourselves in trying to put ourselves on every platform just because we know.
We did tell them about this. I forgot.
Yeah, we did tell them, but we're going to tell them again because somebody else might be listening. We have a new one, and the person went on there. And we have a challenge. If you find a podcast, a medium and there's a lot out there now because that we don't know about, but somehow our show is just going all over. So when the guy said, hey, this is the medium I use to listen to the podcast, I looked at the app and I said, oh, I have never, ever seen that app before. And he goes, you guys are on here? I said, well, you might win a shirt today because we told anybody that could find us on any platform. And he pulled it up and he put the Success Journey show in there and he said, man, you guys are on here, man. I said, yeah, we're on there.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We own everything. I forgot we shared that story with many of you guys. Excuse my cleansing detox brain right now. But let's get on with the show. Marlon, Dan, go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Like we said, travelers, we come to the best portion of our show when we bring our guests on and they get to open up and tell us about themselves. But like none other, today is a very special day for myself. I love when my Marine Corps brothers come on the show. And also the ones that transition into the civilian sector and doing it big. And today we have none other than Paul Gomez. How you doing, brother?
How you doing, Marlon and Ricky? Again, I have to say this is an absolute honor for me, what you guys have accomplished with your show. It gives me the chills just thinking that you guys had me in mind. It really does. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, before we go deep into your story, we want you just to break down to the people and let them know a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, Paul Gomez, I am a husband to a beautiful wife named Maria. Shout out to her. Hopefully she listens to this. Son to a great group of parents, Nebby and Dee. Shout out to them. And that'll be the last shout out. Okay, I'm done. But,
shout out as many as you want, brother.
And again, from a small town in Central Florida, I graduated high school, and then I went right into the Marine Corps, where I got to meet brothers for life, like guys like Marlon, 11 years after that, in what we call as the time of the unknown, right? Because at 11 years, you're closer to retirement than you are to where you started. I took what I thought at the time was a good choice and transitioned my way out. And since I've been in the automotive sector, and from now I'm the general manager of an Audi store in Lakeland, and we're really excited about some of the things we got going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I knew I love this guy, man. Audi, man. That is an Audi A8 L. That's my car right there. That's my dream car. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
Hey, we could make it happen. I'm sure you still have the selling skills that you have.
I'll get your information. We'll do the follow-up thing. Ricky, if I could, would you? Right?
Yeah, right. Love it. So, man, take us back to life before the Marine Corps. What did that look like for you?
So one thing I've gathered from listening to you guys from the beginning is the fact that everybody has a journey, and if anything, before I came on today, I thought, well, I want to make sure that I share mine to the listeners that do listen. And I was born in a small, in a city called Guayaquil in Ecuador. At the age of 7 years old, my parents decided to come to a new life to this beautiful country that we call the United States of America. My parents came for many reasons, but one of the main reasons was for a better life for myself and my two younger brothers. So I'm proud to say that I am the son of immigrants that came here looking for better for us. And early on, as I'm sure, like I've heard from everybody, it was a struggle, right? We can always look back to those times where times were difficult, whether monetarily or whatever, right? But those times are what has become a driving force for me and for many in my family now, right? In high school, played some basketball. I'm not the tallest person, but I gave it a run with the basketball thing. I was a, slightly above average student. But at, 16, 17 years old, I had gotten enough of life to understand that I needed to get out of what my parameters had been. And at that time, the military was an option. I met Marlon when I was a recruiter further on down the path, but I was walking down the hallway at Osceola High School in Kissimmee, Florida.
Yes, sir.
And there was a guy with a super nice outfit walking towards me, and he said, "I heard you're looking at the Navy." And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he goes, "Well, you're so much better than that. I'm going to go ahead and sign you up tomorrow with the Marine Corps." And literally, that's what happened. I just kind of followed suit, right? And that's what happened. So I joined the Marine Corps shortly after high school. And again, the best 11 years of my life, I can tie back successes that we're kind of reaching now to some of the fundamentals that were embedded in me by an organization such as the Marine Corps. So 11 years there, was able to travel. I lived in DC there, where you guys are at there for a little bit. I was able to get some time in overseas in a beautiful places full of sand and all that other good stuff, right? And then at the end of my time there, so at my 8-year mark, I took the decision to go recruit in the military and be that person that guy was for me back in my day. And I did just that. We did really well out there, following the leadership of some of the guys like Marlon, who had been doing it a little bit longer. And yeah, at 11 years, I decided, hey, it's time for me to give it a shot out here in this scary, scary world called the civilian sector, right? and here we are. So quickest way to kind of wrap it up: son of immigrant parents that wanted better for me, and found the best decision I ever made was at 17 years old, say, okay, sure, I'll go with you to that place called MEPS where you're going to put me in the Marine Corps. Best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Gomez, you're no slouch either when it comes to recruiting duty. Temple Terrace, when we was at Wesley Chapel, Temple Terrace was our rival. You know what I'm saying? You guys were putting numbers down. I pride myself. It was funny because it's friendly competition, because we all meet up at MEPS in the morning, 05, when we drop our kids off.
Yeah.
And, I'm going for your neck for recruiter of the month, recruiter of the year, whatever the situation is. You're going for my neck. And you're looking on the tally sheet like, oh, whoa, Gomez wrote a 4. 4 in the Marine Corps this month?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to shoot that up. So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're no slouch, man. And I love that positive competition that you foster. Because of a lot of people don't understand you're a Marine, and then you're the master. When you come out to be a recruiter, we're sergeants. So sergeants in the Marine Corps and the other branches of service are a little bit different, but for the Marine Corps, you're top of the spear. People are relying on you. Like you said, if you went to Iraq and Afghanistan, a sergeant is leading a troops through whatever the situation is. So coming to the to recruiting duty, where you had to start all over with the selling process, right? And all the different stuff. How did you what did you do to assimilate yourself into the community and become that vibrant recruiter that you were?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So there's a two-tiered answer, and I want to tie you into this tiered answer. I used to have an office right next to the MEP station where all the kids would go in the morning. So the recruiters would drop their kids off. They'd take a nap in their car. Don't let Marlon tell you otherwise. He'd take a little snoozer in his car, okay? And then they'd come to my office and hang out with me and so on and so forth, just kind of fellowship in a sense. And when I was a real green recruiter, when I was fresh, new to the market, you're taught to get on the phones and generate your own basically marketplace, right? Your own guys that you talk to. I did that for months and months and months, and I couldn't break through. And finally, one time I'm sitting there in front of an applicant and I'm having what we used to call I'm sure it's still called the benefit tag presentation.
Yes, it is.
And I remember that Rigo, okay, one more shout out. Rigo was next to me and you were next to me. And I go through all these features and benefits that the Marine Corps has. And I go in for the kill at the end, right? Are you ready? Are you ready to join the world's greatest fighting force, the United States Marine Corps? And I'll never forget it that this young man gets up and he goes, "No, sir, I'm just going to walk over to the Air Force and I'll let you know what happens after that," right? And he walked out of there, and I don't know if Marlon remembers this, but I remember it like it was yesterday. He goes, "You know what your problem is, Paul?" I said, "Well, no, what's that?" Because at that point, don't let him fool you, Ricky. He was a superstar. It was like I was the rookie talking to Kawhi Leonard, you know what I'm saying? Like, you listen to those guys, right? And he goes, "The problem is you're talking to people that don't want to talk to you," right? And I remember that from there on in, he goes, "Get involved in the high schools that you didn't think were going to give you the results you wanted." And literally, that's one of the things that I did. I took schools that were rough in the inner cities of Tampa Bay, and I was able to find folks that were looking for a better opportunity. So taking those types of pieces of advice along the way, like that one that Marlon gave me that day in that office after a complete and utter failure, right? Those are the things that made a difference while we were out there. We were able to accomplish a lot. Competition to me, right? There's 3 tiers to everything, right? First, you got to commit, right? So commitment's one. The second one is like having comparable data. So like that piece of paper that said how many contracts. And then competition, I think, is the most beautiful part to a process, right? Being able to look at a scoreboard and say, well, man, we did that and he's doing this, and what do I got to do to beat him? And to be honest with you, I do that today in my dealership. I scoreboard everything because I want my guys. I want guys to say, well, hey, employee A is doing better than employee B, but what do I got to do to get to employee A and employee B? And I believe that fosters an environment of coaching, like that coaching that Marlon did that afternoon in that office. So hopefully that answers your question. I know I went way out there.
No,
that was good. That was perfect.
That was beautiful. You still got that silver tone, man.
I still got that gift of gab.
Yeah. Especially that part about him sleeping in the car.
Oh yeah, for the people listening, if you heard anything, he used to take a snoozer in the car, right?
Yeah. No, man, love it. So man, you went through the recruiting, and I'm starting to get a picture. You say where you are now with Audi, and then you tell me you went through the whole recruiting and that experience and growing there. How did that transition look like when you were getting out after 11 years? I know that was a hard decision because, like you said, you when you got into the military and the Marines specifically, it was like a brotherhood. They said for life. And now you're going to say, "Oh man, I'm going to leave my brothers and I'm going to go out into the civilian world." So talk about both aspects. One, leaving something that you've been so familiar with for 11 years that was so dear to you. And then 2, walking into that, like you said, the unknown. What's on the other side of this? Because I feel like I may be walking alone to some extent, right?
So the decision to leave the Marine Corps was one that was, again, 2-sided as well. I had just met my beautiful wife and we were planning weddings, and I made a call to what we call our monitor. And I said, "Hey, listen, I'm getting married." And he said, "If we wanted you married, we would have issued you one, right? If we wanted you to get you a wife, we would have issued you one." And I thought, well, that's a fair statement, right? That's a fair statement. But life was starting to happen for me. Also, there was a situation where it just became evident that it was time for me to have to move on. But when it comes to that transition, had I not had those 3 years of being as close to a civilian while in the Marine Corps as you do when you're a recruiter, I don't think that transition would have been as I don't want to say easy, because there were some rough times coming out. Let's just be honest here. But it would have been a lot more difficult, because I knew how to communicate with, and again, not to sound like civilian folks or some alien folks out of the planet,
it's a different world.
But it's a different way of communication. It's a different way of leadership, which, by the way, to this day, I try to better myself in, right? The Marine Corps can really easily become do as I say, not do as I do.
Correct.
The great leaders, the Marlins of the world, and I believe the Paul Gomez's of the world, while we were in there, we understand that folks are gonna follow those that do the opposite of and have true welfare in the heart and in your operations on day to day. So having that transition, that time in recruiting played a huge role in the transition, because I already kind of had an understanding of what was going to be needed from me. Now, finding the right place for me to be able to do those things, that's where the challenge came in the transition.
Yeah. So did you go straight to Audi when you first got out? Or walk us through that, because a lot of civilians are hearing this and they're intrigued by it, but there's a lot of Marines that are on the verge of doing exactly what you have done, and they don't know where to turn, what to do. So what to expect in reality.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're not afraid come making that decision, whether at 11 years, 4 years, 25 years, then obviously you didn't put the effort you needed to put into the military, right? Guys, again, like us, the military, we're passionate about what we do, whether it's, walking on crates as people are doing nowadays, right? or being in the military, right? We're passionate about those things. So whenever you take that aspect of your passion away and you're walking into a place that you quite don't know, because I joined the Marine Corps, my last job was serving tables at Denny's prior to me joining the military. I mean, that's just the fact. That I could try to dress it up any other way, but that's just the truth, right? Yeah. And coming out of there, the fear of not knowing was what really messed with me, right? I was a newlywed. Coming out of the military, I had made some good financial decisions, but I was still not at par where I felt like I was bringing something into the relationship. I knew that my wife, that my folks were taking a chance on me, establishing myself. So that fear of not being able to do what you need to do because that structure isn't there. Remember, guys, I mean, Marlon knows this. When you're in the military, you know where you're going to be at the next morning, what you're going to be wearing. I mean, what you're going to do for that day, what time you're going to lunch. All it's this beautiful structure that that the civilian sector doesn't carry, and even furthermore, a sales retail job doesn't carry.
Correct.
So, coming out of the Marine Corps, I got recruited by a financial services company, which that was something I really wanted to get into, and I quickly realized that it wasn't what I thought it was, and I think those moments are so vital to a transition, because I didn't think that moment would come, and it came faster than I could think it would come. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I got hired by this guy. You're military. You're exactly what I need for my business. You're going to be the guy. And the next thing you walk in, he's like, hey, listen, I need to sell life insurance. Why don't you write down all your parents and your cousins and we're going to call them. And you're like, oh no, wait, that doesn't make sense, right? But that in a sense for me showed me the level of what would be the word, of riggedness that can be the civilian sector, right? Yeah. But hopefully that answers your question. I know I went way out there, but
no. I love how you're answering these questions, because when you elaborate on the question even more, I think people are actually breaking out their pencil and their pad right now, and they're saying, okay, all right, these are some of the steps. So, hey, travelers, as you listen to this, break out that pad and pencil, and get at this man's feet because he's about to break some knowledge out.
Those moments are the ones that you think won't happen when you go into making this transition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's funny we're talking about this. I thought we were going to get into something else, but this is good because I'm actively trying to work with some transitioning veteran companies that are assisting. Those are the moments that can scare folks. And if there's not a true foundation, which I was able to have, one, with my faith and with my family, those moments can get really shaky.
Yeah.
And I think that if somebody's there to assist folks, the success rates that we're seeing in the military transition will be through the roof.
I'm telling you, because Gomez is so real, because a lot of times when you're in the Marine Corps and you hear like you're top of the spear. When you go out there, companies are going to be looking for you. They're going to be knocking down your door and da-da-da-da. Then you get out.
And no one's knocking.
Crickets. And then you're thinking, man, I fought for the country.
Mm-hmm.
How many times I've stayed without my family. These people are complaining about 30 days and 60 days on lockdown, and we've been 7 months, 9 months, a year without your family in one place, and just not knowing if somebody's gonna ambush you that day. You know what I'm saying? So you have all this in you, and then when you come to the civilian sector and you're like, here's my application, they're like, hey, thank you for your service. Don't call us, we'll call you.
This is a funny story. I had a 4-page resume breaking down every single daggone thing I did in the military. All right. Keep my $4.2 million budget that I overlooked, blah, blah, blah. And you walk in and it's heartbreaking because they'll look at that first page and they'll say, well, absolutely, there, Mr. Veteran. We have an entry-level position for you right in that bullpen. And you're like, but wait, I did everything I was supposed to do to make this transition seamless, but it's so individual. It's so, what would be the word? There's so much level of unknowing in it that you have to have somebody there to be able to fall back on. I was gracious enough to have, my spouse and my family and all, but some folks don't have that. So I'm here to help. If anybody is, any one of your travelers are listening, I'm here to help.
Definitely.
Oh man, this is good. This is real good. They talk to us about the after you started getting yourself a little bit established, right, in the civilian world, growth. When did you start seeing yourself growing in your career of choice, or when you finally found that niche? Like, yes, this is me. This is what I've done. All my training up to this point formed me to be the Paul to operate in this role. Like, talk about that realization.
Well, again, you need success isn't by yourself. At least I'm not there yet, right? I've had so many people around me. I've had a team full of folks that I work with day in, day out that have helped, right? But if I were to go back and put it all into perspective, the moment you find your passion is the moment you start to operate optimally, or at least as close to optimally as possible. And I realized, call it what it may, I'm just being forefront with you guys here. The business in which I'm in doesn't have the greatest reputation. I mean, I was well aware of that coming in. I'm not naive to it, right? But the one thing that it does have was it allows the opportunity for folks to be able to change the outcome of many lives when it comes to the people working for you, right? It's few and far between you hear about the guy that started as the car wash guy and now owns 5 or 6 dealerships as he worked his way up, right? And that's where I think I found a little bit of passion. Not early on, because early on it was hard, getting yelled at by a million customers a day and doing all the things like, if I could, would you? Let me see my piece of paper. Let me run back. I'll be all that stuff. Right? To say that was fun early on would be a complete understatement. It was not. But I knew, especially because I had seen it in myself, that the opportunity to be able to assist in in folks, helping folks reach for better, was a play. And that's where I think I found a level of passion. I was with an automotive group, a great group of guys that brought me into the business, that wrapped their arms around me and taught me a lot. They taught me the finance side of it, a lot of they went above and beyond in trying to teach me things, because in the beginning, I was able to generate, some business for them. But the biggest break I caught was one time my wife and I were on our way to Orlando, from the Tampa market, which is where I lived at the time. That's where Marlon left me. And we were on our way, and there was a sign that said, here is going to go out. There's going to be a store called Audi Lakeland. It's going to go right here. Go online and fill out an application. And my wife goes, "Hey, love, you're doing well. But I would like to spend a little more time with you, right? The retail business is tough on families, right?" And I got to work the next day, and somebody said something off the wall to me, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna fill out this application. and I filled out that application. And to be honest with you, I believe in moments happening for a reason. And I think that conversation, my wife and I having that conversation on I-4 going to Orlando that morning or that afternoon, played a big role, because when I landed with this group, the Cavalli group, who I work for now, they're passionate about change, and really that plays a major role for me. I have a couple of folks that I work with. Gino Walsh, that will be my last shout out though. Gino Walsh.
Expect another shout out.
Yeah. Listen. I worked with this gentleman. His name is Gino Walsh, and he allows folks to change and to assist in change in a business that doesn't want to change. Right. There's a narrative where, if I could hear we've always done it that way, I would be a lot better off than whatever. People fight change, and our business is one that's struggling because we're not coming out of that change. Everything is so easy. Here we are, Marlon's in DC, you're in Baltimore. I mean, I'm all down here in Florida, and here we are having this conversation. Everything's become easier, and I mean, people would rather go get their wisdom teeth pulled than come buy a car at times, right? So we want to be the Cavalli group, Gino, myself, my team, the most important people in my team. We want to be people who foster change in our business, and that was the biggest thing that happened to me. Is I was able to, by chance, looking for a little bit better quality life, land with a group that fostered change and allowed us a blank canvas to be able to do so. So I think that was a huge turning point for me, Ricky.
Hey, Paul, let me ask you something. When you got to that place, now you're established at in Lakeland Audi, and you're doing your thing. What things did you carry over that the Marine Corps was like, that you're like, hey, I definitely, I still have this, I still use this? Like, I know you say you scoreboard, but what intangibles did you take over, or even tangibles that you took over and you said, I'm going to apply this to my team? And what did you say, hey, Marine Corps, thank you for that, but that's going on a shelf?
So that right there, Mr. Marlon, is the best question you could have ever asked. Because in the military, which is okay, it's okay in that structure, it's do this now. And that's that. Do this now. You don't lead people like that out here. And that was an extreme hurdle for me to overcome. To say that it wasn't would be nothing less than a lie. I've dug in, I've done some reading. I mean, I've heard you guys, the Maxwells and the Simon Sinek's of the world. We read all that good stuff. But application is the hardest part. Yeah. We agree on that?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
To answer your question, that was the hardest part, is understanding that out here, not out here, I say this out here, but in the civilian sector, you can't lead with, just do it. I don't care what excuse you're coming up with. I just need you to do it. It doesn't work. And that was a challenge for me. And it's a challenge that I've bettered over time, but still to this day, sometimes it creeps up on you, right? That platoon sergeant standing in front of the platoon and somebody shows up late, like, why are you 2 minutes late? You start understanding that out here, the guy that generates and does for you, if he's 2 minutes late, sometimes you just have to turn the blind eye and pull him off to the side and say, hey, listen, big dog, next time I'm gonna need you to show up on time, right? And then we move forward. But those little things were big, and but at the same time, there's a flip side of that coin. There's a lot of discipline that comes from being a United States military member, not just a Marine, any service member. And you know that, we're mission directed, right? Like if I tell you, again, when we were recruiting, you're going to write 4 contracts, you're not going home till you write 4 contracts, right?
Correct.
That same theory applies out here. And that has been an absolute X factor for me thus far. So there's two ends of that spectrum. Another thing that I feel kind of compelled to make sure that I mention, hopefully there are some veterans out there. What you have done in the military, whether it's sit behind the desk as an admin guy or be on the front lines as an infantry guy, whatever that is, you're owed a debt of, we thank you for that. Like, that's huge. And we're going and don't feel lesser when you come out here. It's the opposite of, use it as something to spring forward, to spring you forward, right? And that's something that gets lost in translation a lot. Sorry to go back a little bit, but I'm
no.
Sure I mentioned that. Yeah.
Oh, you good?
That's true, because sometimes you feel like you have to. I don't feel like every time. You know how many times I miss? There's a lot of times I would have missed out on a discount, but only because, unbeknownst to me, there's some way that you carry yourself that everybody always says, military discount. And I'm like, I don't have a uniform on, I don't have nothing. But they're like, military. I was like, how do you know I'm military? They're like, well, the way how you move or whatever. And I don't feel like I want to go into a store and when somebody says, hey, this is your receipt, and you're like, oh, do you do a military discount here? You feel, just like what you said, you feel bad asking for that military discount. But guys, these people put it in place, or even jobs. If you can use your veteran status to propel you, use it, because that is the springboard that you need to ultimately get you to that place of success.
And it's funny, we talk about this, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news today.
Correct.
We're not going to get into it, but you put yourself in those guys' shoes and you think to yourself, what would happen? And that's where that mission accomplishment, that adapting and overcoming kind of kicks in. And that is so big out here in the civilian sector, because you become someone who's reliable, right? At times I've heard in the past, not recently, but why your boss told you that? Okay, I got it, but just like move on. And in the back of your mind's like, I can't move on. Like, that man asked me to do something. I got to get this thing done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that there's so much power in that, especially now as an employer, right? I have folks that work with us that I have to rely on. When you have those folks that you ask them to do something and they take it and get it done to the best of their abilities, it's hands down, and military folks do that. So that plays a major role.
Yeah.
Love it, man. So Paul, man, I'm really enjoying this journey that you're sharing with us. Talk about a little bit, if you can, just your support system through all this, because you mentioned that you said, hey, I have my family, I have my faith as I was going through these transitions. And how can individuals that are in your system kind of lean on that support system as they're going through these transitional times? Because it's not going to be the first or last time that they go through these transitions. So can you share a little bit more from your perspective on that?
Absolutely. Well, again, I'm a firm believer. I don't push this on nobody, but I'm a firm believer that I'm nobody without my faith, without, my Lord, God in heaven, right?
Absolutely.
That's that. So that was major for me. That strong belief in a higher power played a major role. I'm a God-fearing man, and I hope to always be. Yeah. With that said, family members, my wife, but family members that no matter what are there to say, come on, you got this, let's move forward. That was, to say that wasn't huge for me would be an understatement. There were days early on where I had to rely on my spouse to put, to tie ends or make things happen monetarily. And, it speaks a little bit to my culture, but that's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow. That's a tough pill to swallow. But having the person that says, no, it's okay. We got this. I believe in you, right? Whether it's a spouse, whether it's a father, whether it's a son, whether it's maybe even a transition veteran that's assisting you, those things play a major role. One thing I realized coming out of the military is that the military, what would be the word? The Marine Corps fosters validation, right? So like every time you get promoted to a rank, the moment you get promoted, someone comes up in front of a platoon, puts your rank on you, you feel great about yourself, you say a couple of words to the platoon or the people that you've been working with. But every time you get, you re-enlist or whatever, same thing, there's honor and accomplishment in the military. And in the civilian sector, that's very minute, right? Because everybody has a life, everybody has, right? So if anything that I could tell a veteran, especially transitioning one, is understand that the biggest validation you can have is what you've accomplished in your service during this time. Out here, you're not going to get that. So find the people that'll give you that, whether it's a helping transitioning vet or helping a veteran that's helping you transition or whatever. So hopefully that answers the question. I know it's again a little bit out there.
No, you're hitting all the nails on the head. Now this is the time I want you to brag on yourself, brother. I know you're a humble guy, and except when you and I are on the phone, you're gonna tell me, yo, I did this, I did that. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm joking. But what I want you to do is brag on yourself a little bit, to talk about some of the accomplishments that you have achieved since you've found your niche and you've really cement yourself in that company. Because I see them online, I follow them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the first thing, and again, everything has a reason, right? When I met this gentleman, Gino, and I came up to him, I said, listen, I really want to go to school. I want to finish this. I want to go for an MBA. I want to do all these things. Are you guys going to pay for it, right? And his response was, absolutely not. We're not going to pay for any of that. And we always laugh about this. But that day was a turning point because he said, listen, I need you to go online. I need you to buy this book. It's called Just Faster. It's by a gentleman named Brian Pash. And it was about innovative ways to change automotive retail, right? When you go to a car dealership, just throw out a couple of things. When you get to the car dealership as a consumer, you show up, you meet the guy with the slick back hair. He takes you on a test drive. You get back. You somehow try to negotiate a deal if he allows you to, right? You negotiate the deal. Then you have to wait to go in to talk to another guy that's trying to sell you more stuff. Then you have to wait for another guy to hook up your Bluetooth. And it's just this drawn out 5, 6, sometimes 7-hour process to many, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that was my niche, was being able to assist and change. And when I read that book, I then went back to him and I said, hey, listen, I read this book. This is phenomenal. We could really change the game here. He said, well, let's go. And since then, what we've been able to accomplish is we've been able to establish a single point of contact process at our dealership, meaning that the moment you send in, let's say, an internet leader, you chat with somebody online, that person you talk to is the same person you talk to all the way through the process. We've established a digital portion where there is no paper. We're not trying to do the back end, the hiding, none of that stuff. It's all in front of you, utilizing a digital retailing tool that basically simplifies the process. Part of what we do at Cavalli Auto Group is we simplify the way you purchase a vehicle, and we come to you. When we took that plunge, we never thought we would get the results that we're getting today. Just to highlight some of the things that the team has done, because it's not me, it's my team, my guys. Shout out to all of them. There was a shout out. You're right.
There's going to be another one.
We've been able to have some, close to 100% increases in profitability in our finance and insurance department when it comes to selling products. We've been the store's retail sales effective for the first time since its inception. Our market share is up year over year, every single time, dramatically. And we've been able to do that. And we've been able to do that by utilizing change as the paradigm. And most importantly, change not towards what better fit or what better profit we can make, rather building change around the best way for the consumer to operate and to purchase a vehicle, right? So setting the foundation of consumer first in a real sense. What's the easiest way someone can come in here and purchase a vehicle and get through a retail experience in a positive manner? And then utilizing, pillars, which we call of retailing digitally, which is personalization, digitalization, and the effective use of time. The respect of someone's time is absolutely everything, right?
Correct.
And I think that's where our business failed miserably for a very, very long time. I remember when I was a child and my father would say, "Come on, let's go buy a car." We would leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. We wouldn't show back up till 9 o'clock at night. And I'm sure that happens now. It's crazy to think that that's really going to withstand when you can literally buy anything within the click of a mouse nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And because of those things and some of the things that my team has accomplished, we've been able to get some really cool recognition. With Audi meeting some standards when it comes to the Magma awards, and I've been able to get awards personally, 40 under 40 with Automotive News, which is a national, is a national source. So keeping the customer first and being able to change the way we do things has been an absolute game changer for us. The business is up and up, but just like anything, here we are with a new challenge. I'm sure you guys have heard of the chip shortage, right?
Yes.
As of about a couple hours ago, I had just a number of cars on my lot to sell, right? So I have this big $15 million beautiful building with Audi rings all over it, and I have 3 Audis to sell, right?
Oh, wow.
So there are always challenges, which we're going to, use that military mindset of adapting and overcoming and moving forward. But that blank canvas and that push towards change has been, what would be the word, has been game changing for my professional career. And I'm glad that after 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears in that place, it's just now, it's like a big train that you can't stop, right? We have dealers from all over the nation come in, and the questions that I get, my friend Gino gets, are like, well, okay, so tell me, how do you do it? And the biggest question, the biggest answer has been, buy-in, empowerment, and leadership, right? We have a team that bought in, we empowered them. It's okay to have the 25-year-old young man with an iPad lead a customer through a deal from beginning to end. We can get rid of the old car guys that are trying to Jedi mind trick you into buying stuff. Customers are thorough, and those 3 things have been absolutely game changing for myself and for my family.
Man, I love it, man. You just took, it's funny, when just hearing you talk, I just remember when your actual recruiter and everything just started to click.
Yeah.
And you're like, you start thinking like, man, I'm not just, I really want to know this kid.
Yeah.
And find out that this kid really wants to be a Marine. Just like I said, the problem, you're talking to people that don't need you.
Yeah.
Or you need to show them the need behind the need, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that I love that you take it there. Now, another thing that I saw that you did, man, or that you continue to do, was at Christmas, at Toys for Tots, that you fill up the Audi.
Yeah, we do the fill the Q7. We went.
There you go.
3 years ago, we filled one Q7, and I have to be honest with you, it was me and my partners filling that bad boy up, right? But then the second year we did 2 Q7s, and we filled those up, and we saw that the community responded. And then last year we did 3 full Q7s full of toys that went to the local folks in Lakeland and Polk County, and grassroots stuff for your community. My gosh, there's no better marketing. I mean, I look at digital spends and all this other stuff for our business, and it's all great and dandy, and it gets people in the door, whatever. But there's nothing like someone walking in and seeing 3 Q7s full of toys and saying, "What's that?" And you say, "Well, that's going to the less fortunate in our community." And then it immediately shifts the paradigm in with the consumer's mind, the consumer's everything, because they understand that we're in that same fight that they are to strengthen our communities. So absolutely, grassroots stuff. Fill the Q7. We were coming up with ways today to do something for for the folks in Louisiana that are going through it today with everything that's going on.
Yes.
You know, but bringing people together. I mean, that's what businesses need to do. You can build from there, right? You bring people together, and you understand that there's a common cause, or what was it in the Marine Corps? It was common ground, right?
Yeah.
When you find out that there's common ground with folks, you can really make a difference. And then you know, you make a difference, business will fall behind that. Right. So yeah, it's been super cool, man. It's been super cool.
Man, Paul, man, this is great, man. Like one last question I have for you is, you know, I always wondered this too, that recruiters or salesmen, you know, how often have you used your strategies in your family to kind of sway your way?
I'm sure,
you know?
I'm sure my wife will say this, but she says that I'm never not selling. So that goes to show you how many, right?
ABC.
Right, you're always closing, always be closing. My wife has gotten so good that she's like, you're doing that give and take stuff where you're giving me something, but deep down inside you're gonna give me.
I love it.
It's more often than I want it to be, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's crazy because it becomes just a part of you of how you structure your conversation. So you're not doing it out of like, you're not thinking like, okay, if this person says this, I'm going to say this. You're just doing what, because it became, up to this day, I'm still checking for exceptions. I'm still always saying, okay, so how does that work for you? Does that work for you fine, Master or Master Guard? Or sir, does that work for you? Oh, sir, so what you're trying to accomplish here is you're trying to get everybody over to square X, correct? But I understand this is how you want to do it. But let's look at it this way. If we take,
you know, it's a beautiful thing though. The art of what would be the word, of leading folks into doing that. I think I personally believe that persuasion, but I believe in leadership 101 is having folks do what they think they want to do. Right. And again, and I don't mean that in any conniving way. I mean, that's effective leadership in the sense of, hey, that is what you should be doing. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's exactly what you need
to be doing.
you know what I'm saying? So you're right on the money. You're right on the money. It's a gift and a curse, if anything, Marlon.
Yes, it is. It's a gift and a curse. Hey, this year, Ricky and I want to go ahead and go online right now and say that we want to help pull one of that Q7 for Christmas. So I know it starts around in like the November timeframe. If I even cash, so I know if I even got to cash app you the money and you buy whatever toys you see need, and you put in there, we're gonna make a donation and definitely send it down there because I believe in what you're doing. And like you're saying, being the mayor of your town, that's what they tell us when you first get to recruiter, right? Recruiting is very important because I've met the guy that, even though everybody else knows how to do all the digital stuff and they know how to do all that stuff, this is the guy that walks to every gas station. They're like, hey, Mr. Bentley, hey, Mr. Bentley, hey, Mr. Bentley. Everybody's calling out to him. And they know that if they need X, they could ask Mr. about what they need. Right. So definitely want to tap into that. And the Success Journey Show is all about giving back to the community. And we're going to definitely go on the line right now that say we're going to donate something to you guys. And I know some people, when they say, hey, we're going to donate, then they send you like $1.
Well, listen, I have to let you guys know, the city of Lakeland, Polk County, we greatly appreciate that. We really do. And you best believe that's going to go to those that are less fortunate, that have a true need for it. So we greatly appreciate that. And come Christmas time, what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to get on one of these so that we can put it out on our social media. To make sure that that you guys get the recognition you deserve for doing something so nice for our community. So we greatly appreciate it.
Man, and you know what, it'd be even better. Let's see if this D variant, Ricky and I want to take some trips and just go, hey, if we just pop into Lakeland, come to the dealership, do a little 15-minute sit down, present you guys with a check or something.
Do a little test drive of the Audi A8.
What we'll do is we'll put you on an extended test drive. There's this beautiful place 45 minutes from us, and it's got sand and ocean. You're going to love it.
Yeah, man.
Nah, man, love it. Yeah, say something else, Marlon. Go ahead, man.
No, man. Hey, I'm just gonna say that it's so nice to see my brothers when they finally, I'll tell you, Gomez, something happened to me this weekend here. It rained real hard here, and my basement got flooded, right? And we went down there, and the guy comes over and say, "We're gonna have to rip up all your carpet," and I'm getting teed off. I'm upset. I'm nah. And then guess what happened? The names of all those, it was Friday night, all those Marines and the Navy guy and the Navy, I would say guy, the Navy doc, the corpsman got published. And when it got published, I started looking at the names, and one guy had a kid that wasn't even born yet.
Oh.
And I was like, and I'm here thinking about a daggone basement that's going to be covered by insurance. What am I doing? Right? So it's good when I see my brothers and sisters from the military come out. Not that I don't want to see everybody do great, but it's just good when I see somebody come out of the Marine Corps, because you know what we say, the Marines want to make Marines, win war, and make a model citizen.
That's it.
And you came out, you transitioned into the civilian sector, and you're a model citizen. So we have accomplished, and you have accomplished the task that's at hand. And I know there's great, your trajectory is so great that I know we're gonna have you back on the show again, talking about the next step that you've accomplished.
Nah, I appreciate that. And again, I feel like I thought this was going to take a turn into automotive and so on and so forth. And it's beautiful where conversation takes you, because here we ended up having, a conversation that was mostly about transitioning veterans. And that time was a time where, man, had I listened to something like what we talked today, it would have been powerful. So, if there are any veterans out there, my gosh, I mean, hit us up on the social media site. I'm here to help in any way, shape, or form. And the one thing I remember thinking was, don't become afraid in the sense of being intimidated because you haven't been doing this, right? So I got out at 29 years old. The folks that when I was going into to interview, I was going next to the 23-year-old that had just graduated school, right? And that could be intimidating, extremely intimidating. But if you're out there listening or whatever, and I feel compelled to let you know that you're valuable. What you've done is volunteered for something that 99% of the people in this country would not do, would not even think of doing. So we're here to help.
Love it. So you said you're on the social media platform. Why don't you share where they can find you?
Absolutely. So first. Most important is again AudiLakeland.com, which is our website. We deliver vehicles all over the country, and I'd be more than happy to deliver an A8 to Northern Maryland to a guy that I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one. That's the business. Second, Paul Gomez on Facebook. P Gomez 1223 is the handle on Instagram. And again, I'm just here to help. I want to be a servant to as many people as I can be, because I know that comes back around. So absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And again, I have to say this one more time before we cut this off. I started with when you guys dropped those first 3 episodes, and here I am. I mean, this is really it's an honor for me, right? Like 2 weeks ago, you interviewed a guy that has 100 million people watching him on television, and Coach Mosley, right? And the fact that you guys brought me on, man, I really appreciate it. And you talk about me, keep going. You guys have to keep going. That's part of the motto we use in my business is just keep going, man. You're making a difference, and you're doing it, sometimes without kind of seeing it, right? Because you're in somebody's ear when they're on the drive to work the I-4. And you're making a difference. So thank you for having me on, and guys, please keep going.
Appreciate that, Paul.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, man. And travelers, like we said, the season is different. We're getting a little bit more personal, sharing even more stories, and getting a little closer to home. So today, you've heard from 2 military personnel Marines to be exact, former Marine, existing
No
Marine.
such thing as former. No such thing as former.
Active and inactive, veteran and whatever before I mix myself up here. Marine. There you go. So if you're in there, in getting ready for that transitional period, you want to listen to this. If you know someone else is getting ready for that transitional period, share this episode with them so they can get a little hope and have a little more confidence as they go through that journey. For all of our travelers, we hope that you've taken from this that, hey, no matter where you come from, no matter where you're civilian sector, military sector, there's going to be challenges, and it's going to be many times when you doubt your capabilities. I can testify that so many ways on my end. But just hold on, keep the faith, keep moving forward, and everything will open up as it should. So we will see you guys again next week at the same place, at the same time. Don't forget to go to our website, the Success Journey Show. Check out all of our previous episodes, as well as some of the products on there. Marlon and I, we said a little earlier, people are recognizing our shirts and what we're doing. So be a part of the movement. And we will see you guys again next week at the same time, same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
All right, one love. Any shout outs?
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.